Hello, everybody. We are back with episode number 19. Oh my God, where does the time go? It's just...
It seems like we just did 18.
It seems Okay, fun fact, we're recording 2 podcasts on the same day, so no, we don't always wear it. If you're watching this and you're like, wait, wasn't Danielle wearing that tee last week, or wasn't Val in that? No, we're recording 2 back-to-back, so that's why I was like, whoa, where does time go? It's been at least 3 minutes since our last podcast, number 18. So welcome to number 19. On last week, we touched base on... Power. See, it was so long ago, I can't even remember.
Those 3 minutes will throw you through a loop.
Oh my God. So we touched base on power, and then this week we're talking about production. Why? I get so nervous. I get so nervous when somebody's like, what is that? I'm like, something with a P. I know what we're talking about. Which one is it? Okay, so production. Yes. We are talking about production this week. Whew, I did it. Okay.
Well, and it doesn't help that I'm looking at her like,
I know.
Get it right, Danielle.
Your eyeballs are like
Danielle?
the pressure eyes. Yeah,
no.
Piercing me. I get
do it
too
right.
much.
It's not power. So, Val, last week we did talk about production and how production is linked to capacity, and that's the
Power.
ability. Damn it, Danielle!
We call that instant karma on you.
I was throwing the jabbers right back at you.
I'm watching the coolest show right now between these two.
So last week we talked about power and how power is linked to capacity, which is just the ability to do things.
Right.
But capacity, there's also 2 more things that are very, very invested that are linked right up to capacity, and that's skill set and mindset.
Yes.
So talk to us about skill set and why that is so important.
Well, like we were saying earlier, like, good for you, you found your power, but now you need to be able to, like, produce what you're saying you can do. So you have to be good, like in our instance, is you have to be good at NBR. You can be finding your power in marketing, but then you get the client in the chair, and then your work is shit, like, you're not producing good. You got to have your production, like Danielle said in her blog post. I don't know if you read it, but it was really good on Monday of last week. She was saying, like, you can only your marketing can only be as good as the magic you produce behind the chair. And that is so true. We want, like, artists to find, like, their confidence and to, like, market and have all of this, but you need to have the skill set to back it up.
And then talk to us about mindset. Like, what is... Okay.
I'm like,
And good. That's the end of the podcast today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
And so mindset itself is really the current story that they have.
Yes.
A lot of artists they have, or anyone inside of any business, they have a hard time actually believing that what they're doing they can do, and then going forward and putting the practice in to become good, to have a good skill set, to increase their capacity to do even more. So Danielle, the inspiration really for today's blog post, or for today's podcast, look, this is all her fault now.
Was the
that
blog
I'm all
post?
tongue-tied.
No.
So the inspiration for today's podcast was your blog post. Do you have that in front of you?
Yeah, it says, okay, so my quote for the week was, your marketing in front of the chair can only be as good as your magic behind the chair. Students always want to know the magic formula to increase profitability behind the chair, as if it were a series of checklists or an algorithm that you just have to figure out. And once you do, you'll automatically have success. But sometimes you have to step back as an artist and ask yourself, am I the best at my craft? Let's play the comparison game. Okay, so I'm going to touch base really quick because I remember when I finally was like, I mean, I'd been doing hair for a while, and then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm going to be more focused. I'm going to take back power behind the chair. I'm going to, like, charge what I'm worth. I'm going to, like, educate. I'm going to do this, and this, you know, and I was kind of reclaiming my power as an artist. And it was hard for me because I remember I started looking online on Pinterest and seeing what, like, celebrity hair was looking like, or anything in magazines, or that was when, like, Pinterest was going crazy and Instagram was just getting started. And so it was just like, I wanted to see what people were doing, you know, and so I started taking pictures of my work, which I was like, I've been doing hair for a while, like, I'm really good. And then I would take pictures of my work, and I would be literally, like, hold it up side by side. I'd be, like, on Pinterest and holding up a picture of my work, and I was like, oh dear Lord, like,
it must be my camera.
Yeah, it was like, well, it must be. And for years that was kind of my story too. I was like, I'll just get a different lens. It's, you know, it's just their fancy lenses. And so for years I kind of was just like, well, but I also kind of like would look at it and I would kind of fine tune and be able to play the comparison game in a positive way. It's fine to look at something and just not be stuck in that attitude of like, well, I could do that if I had the right camera. Well, okay, that's great, but you're not going to go anywhere with that. So like, and I speak from experience. And so let's like let go of that ego for a minute and look at it and be like, okay, well, how can I fine tune my work a little bit more? Or could I be better? And use that comparison game to really up your craft and be the best at whatever you're doing. And that could go for any industry. And it's not just hair.
Definitely.
And it could go with photography. It could go with public speaking. It could go with anything. You can always improve in whatever area it is. And it's business and art, and specifically hair, is always evolving as well. And there's always more to learn. And so you have to constantly stay like updated with your education and make sure that you're always striving to kind of be the best. I think that's why I still work 2 days behind the chair. Number one, I love making people feel beautiful. Like, it's very fulfilling for me. Like,
Definitely.
to go from, like, when you're dealing with extensions, it's dealing with a lot of people like that have not as much confidence as they would like to have. And so for me, like, it's weird because I feel like we get shit in our industry for like hair as being superficial. But for me, when I do someone's hair and it changes their whole skin tone and it like brings in more hair, it's not like I see a different version of them come alive. It's like, there you are. Like, I have this moment where, like, last week I even had a girl, she got like emotional and she like started like crying and she's like, thank you. And it was, for me, I looked at her and I was like, there you are. That's who I wanted to see, and that's who you've always been. And it sounds silly, but something as simple as a little bit of hair extension, some good color, like, transforms people's aura. You know what I mean? And that's why I love it so much, and that's why I take so much pride in my work, because I want clients to have that experience. But yeah, just to like sum up the blog post, I just kind of was like talking about how you have to be the best behind the chair, because you have to be able to back up what you're actually promoting. I would never want a client to come sit in my chair or come be a part of my salon experience and feel underwhelmed, like following us on social media or whatever marketing it was, and then come in and be like, like, I'd rather have people come in and sit in the chair and be like, you guys are so much better in person.
Yes.
And I remember having a team meeting not too long ago, and I was like, I think it was like us at Tortilla Republic. It was, you guys remember that night? But we won't go there. But I remember I was like, you guys, what's cool about our team? Because I felt like I'd finally gotten to this place with our team. Like, I was like, we're all really fucking good. Like, this is so cool, you know? And I remember telling everybody, I'm like, you guys don't understand. Like, there's a lot of people blowing up on social media, and that's great. But what's cool about us is we actually back up and look, I believe, like, look better than what, like, even our, like, half of our photos look, or Instagram looks, or whatnot. So I just think it's important to make sure that you're backing up what you're actually promoting. And especially with, like, hair, you don't want to, like, filter it so crazy, and then clients come in, they're like, I'd like this color, and you're like, well, I can't deliver that because that was 92 filters later.
Yeah,
so,
that's Visco A6.
Yeah. So anyways, that was pretty much it was.
No, one thing that I really do like that you hit on, though, is an ego thing. And I know that Val and I, like, we have right now inside of Mastermind, we have 143 different students, and ego is a huge thing, and it's something,
it's alive and well.
It is most certainly there. It's not something that's lacking. And I think the big thing is, a lot of people, they come and they're like, I can do NBR. Shit's so easy. And then they come in, and I'll be honest, they get fucking wrecked during class because they're like, I don't even know how to thread a needle anymore. Like, wait, what? And it's something we see. So, Val, we were just having a funny discussion on this. Like, what have you seen with egos inside of NBR? Not just like with students, but even like artists.
I gotta say something really quick, or I'm gonna forget.
Okay.
Because I think an ego is a healthy balance, in the sense of, like, how I said in my last podcast, where, like, I go in the back, I'm mixing the color, I'm getting the blend ready, and I'm like, you fucking got this. And I'm like, kind of like tapping into that ego to be like confident. You know what I mean? And there's this fine line of confidence and ego, and do they ride on the same playing field? Yes, they do. And so for me, I'm like, I think of ego as like the dickhead, whereas confidence is like you're owning your power. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, we're discussing ego for sure.
So, but I just wanted to like determine the difference for me is, like, it's cool to be confident. You definitely want to have that confidence going into your work, or that confidence, whatever your skill set is. The ego is what drags you down. The ego is what takes something where you could learn and grow from it, and is like, you're good, and then you stay stuck in where you're at.
That's what I feel like, too. I feel like there's two sides to the ego. There's the part that gives you the confidence to push through, to keep going, and then the downside of it is the one that actually stunts your growth.
Yeah.
And that's what happens, I feel like, especially when we start pre-training. People are like, oh, this is the pre-training. I've already seen these videos. And I'm like, oh,
you just wait.
I've been doing this for so long, and I work side by side with Danielle. I'm doing it constantly, and I still take something from every class that we're at, every day of work, every time I watch the videos. So it makes me laugh when people are like, oh, I already watched the videos when you sent them out. And then they come into the hands-on portion, and they're like, this, yeah. And we'll ask them ahead of time before we even start the hands-on, like, how's it going? How are you doing with your NBR? You know, and they're like, oh, yeah. The NBR portion's like really easy for me. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm hunting you down during hands-on, because I promise you'll be sweating and struggling, and your shit's gonna be off base. But until we meet again.
You keep thinking that. But it's funny because we've actually had artists that have come into a BMS intensive, our small 20 person class. And beforehand, they were like, oh, yeah, it's fine. And then when they come in, they've been like, you know what? Not as easy as I thought. I'm like, oh, interesting. We're aware. Trust me. The one that I do love hearing about is whenever our artists say that they're inside the salon, they're doing a client, and one of their friends, another stylist, comes up and they're like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, yeah, I could do that. Oh, really? Is that what you think? That this is so easy, you could just watch it? That's the kind of ego that doesn't serve you, that you think you can look at something and then you're so fucking good that you can do it. No one understands. I've said before, NBR, super intricate method, and that's what makes it so good. It's not just slapping a piece of tape on someone's hair. No offense, if you do that, that's fine. Just not our preferred method. But there's so many tiny details that make it so good and so seamless and make that blend like spot on, that it's not just something you can watch once and you're like, got it, I have the hang of it.
Well, I mean, that's shown. There's other like knockoff versions out there, and their end result is way more damaging than what we do and what we teach our students to do. And so, yeah, I think you've always got to be open to just kind of like taking criticism or taking that critique and learning and growing from that. And even for me, like oftentimes, like my biggest person in my life is Garrett. Like a lot of times I'll be like, I got this. And like, it's not just in the hair portion too. It could be in your business. It could be in your marketing. It could be this. And I sometimes struggle with like that side of the ego. Like I remember when we wanted to start doing paid ads and stuff like that. And I was like, Garrett, I know my people and this is not going to work. Just so you know, I know and you don't know. And then I was like, okay, well, and I had to give him a lot of credit because of what he's built with Wake Up Warrior and what they did with their ads. And he's like, you know your people, you know your hair. That's great. You don't know fucking ads. And I was like, God damn it. And so you always, like, when it comes down to it too, if you're kind of like struggling with that good ego, bad ego, like a lot of times in my life, I'm like, well, I have to kind of like let go of that control because I am such a like a micromanaging type of personality. And so for me to like let go of that ego, I don't know why I'm so visual with everything. I like imagine like I'm putting like earmuffs on and I'm just like tunneling in and I'm not focusing on that, and I'm just kind of being like, I gotta like trust him to do his thing, and we gotta test things to figure out, learn and grow. So oftentimes even just letting go of that ego is just kind of put up your blinders and focus where you need to focus on, and don't focus on this negative side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that we always say, because a lot of artists come in and inside BMS and Mastermind, we have a really heavy focus on charging what you're worth. And we say that all the time, like charge what you're worth, charge what you're worth. But here's the deal. Yes, we are here to empower people, but at the end of the day, like you need to make sure that what you're charging, what you are having your clients pay, that you are providing that amount of value, because Val, we've seen the students, they come in hot some days.
I know. And that is the whole like balance of it, is like we want you to charge what you're worth, but take a good look. Are you worth that? And if not, what steps do you need to take to get to that price point that you feel confident in it, that you are actually delivering that dollar amount of work, or over delivering? That's always our end goal at DKW. Like we're charging you this amount, but we always want to like overproduce. I feel we do that in BMS classes and as well as DKW styling. But I know for sure I did not start out there. Like it took so much practice, and still, I'm not lying. Like to this day, I'm always like, I'll still take pictures of my work, like my actual beadwork, my stitching, my haircut, my actual picture, like my before and after. And I go home after my full day of work and I'm like looking, okay, how are these beads looking? How is this working? Like assessing the hair when they come back for their appointment. Was there anything that like I would do differently? I'm constantly wanting to like get better and grow so that I am delivering like my best work each time and not staying stagnant.
I think if you own your skills behind the chair too, like you're giving them an amazing job, because I think a lot of times with hair specifically, everything's scheduled in time, so we run out of time and we don't allow like us to give them their best work because we run short on time. So if that's you and you're that stylist, like maybe you need to schedule more time.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to get on an assistant. Whatever it is, you have to ask yourself, like, did I give them a great experience? Because that also comes down to like, we're big on like taking back ownership behind the chair, but with that comes taking accountability and asking yourself, put yourself in the client's shoes and just being like, okay, and you don't want to be taken advantage of. I know in our industry, there's a lot of stylists that are taken advantage of. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
Like you'll have a batshit crazy client and they're like, you owe me all new hair and this and this and this. And you know what I mean? And then we feel like we're trying to avoid confrontation and we're just like, oh my God. And it ends in this just fuck you battle, you know?
Those are fun.
Those are fun. And so you kind of have to, I know that on my end, if I get a crazy client, I know like I gave them an amazing experience. I worked till the job was done. Like I sent them a follow-up. Like I definitely try and like put myself in that situation. But if you have a client that's batshit crazy, you kind of have to be like, I did everything I could in my power to make it a good experience. And even then, I will tell you this, if you're a stylist, and again, this was like something that Garrett taught me because I did have a bad experience where I had a batshit crazy client. She came in, she didn't like her hair, sent me crazy photos, like gave me a bad review, all this shit. And I was like, she's crazy. And she was like, you owe me a full refund. I was like, no. And Garrett said to me, he said, refund her and be done. It's going to cause you more emotional bandwidth than it's worth, and it's actually going to hold you back. And I was like, no, and I chose not to. And I got fucking shit for that for a year. Bad reviews, like clients being like, who is this? I'm like, she's crazy. Like, you could tell she was crazy, but just the emotional drama that it caused was so stupid. I should have just been like, here's $1,500 back. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so I would also like encourage you, if you're a stylist, like if you are delivering in an experience where you like feel like you gave them your all, then you're cool with like you're taking back that power and charging what you're worth. And if you do get a crazy one, my advice to you is move on quickly. And if that requires like coming up with some kind of like, here you go, I don't want to deal with you, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Then do it, because it's gonna, in my experience, gonna cause you more emotional of a shit show.
That's actually happened to me as well. And I had text Garrett, and this was
Poor Garrett and all his texts.
Sorry about that. But this was like October of 2016. So this was right before coming to BMS 2, my BMS 2. And I remember texting him and I'm like, oh my God, listen to what happened, this and that. And he called me and he was like, Ani, I get it. I see it in you. You are me. You want to fight this to the death because this client was insane.
I remember this story.
Yes. And he told me about you. And he was like, look, Danielle has been where you're at, and she did not listen, and she fought, and it took so much emotional, like it drained her. He goes, it's not
over
worth
$1,500, and there's stylists in our industry who are fighting over 40 fucking bucks.
Yeah,
I'm like, you move on from that client, put some money into marketing, and get a new client that like is less batshit crazy. But then also take a look at that situation. Could you have delivered a better experience?
Yes.
And if you could have changed up, own that, learn from it, grow from it, and apply that to your next client that you marketed to get in the chair.
And that's really, it's just taking care of everybody. But I will never forget that. I did end up refunding, and I was like, I'm fucking done with you. You're dead to me. Like, I'll never deal with you again. But let me tell you, Garrett goes, you refund the money. He goes, number one, I know you have the money, Ani. You're so good with saving. I'm like, I know. It's not about that. He's like, I get it. I know. He's like, I know it's not about
ego.
that. Yeah. Oh, huge ego, because she was so crazy and saying such the most insane shit I've ever heard.
Illogical, like.
Yes. But I was like, I'm not going to feed into you and give you what you want. But there goes someone. See, power framing. Here we were again. Someone was trying to frame me out, and I was like, nope, motherfucker, we're not doing that. So and Garrett said, he goes, you refund the money and take it as a business lesson. That's all it is. And then you just go forward, you keep marketing, and you never deal with it again. And I did. And funny, even after I refunded them, they still felt the need to text me again, because it was a mother-daughter duo. They were really nice guys. Apple in the tree, I tell you. So, but like, they kept still texting me, and I'm like, I'm done with you. Like, what more do you want?
I gave you a refund.
Yeah. And I think at that point, they just like, honestly, I think they're bored and had nothing else to do. So it was
some
just
people
like,
feed off drama. You'll notice that there's people that come into my life that like when things are like running smoothly, they don't even understand, like they're creating this drama life for themselves, because I think it feeds an emotional need of them feeling validated. And it's sad that it's through drama, but there are certain people that operate that way. I have people in my family, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't be around you.
Right?
Because you're being emotionally validated by being a fucking victim. And it drives me nuts. I cannot do that. But again, that goes back to like 2 shows ago, when you're like, people that are not servicing you, they're not in your bubble.
Val, victim mentality. I feel like we're almost jumping back to last week's topic of triggers, but I know that for you was a huge one. And not even the victim mentality, but that whole like, woe is me kind of thing.
I cannot stand it.
It's so hard.
My back hurts thinking about it.
Well, and it's so hard for us because we go through and we push so much, and we're always like in a constant state of growth and wanting to be better and do more. Then they're like, I'm tired. Val and I look at each other and we're like, mother.
I think because I'm such like a quiet worker, you know, so you know, like I just like hustle quietly. Like I mean, I know Danielle and you know me really well, so you guys can feel me if I'm stressed. But I'm never coming in the salon like full on meltdown, and you know, like I tuck it under and all that. So when people are coming in and they're complaining and just, I can't do this. This is too hard. I'm exhausted. I never get to see my man. I'm like.
But some people are just like that.
I don't
reel it back
and
in.
again, that's one of my triggers. I'm like,
Yeah,
I can't,
totally.
and it makes me. And then I'm like, do I need to be vocal about everything that I'm doing? Like, I want to just like lead by example, and that's what I'm like always trying to do, and not like tell you how busy I am or how hard I'm working. But like when you start like wasting my time, and I'm hearing your sob stories and like how all this shit's happening to you,
need to hear that.
So, well, it comes out, then I'm like, motherfucker, do you know I've done every fucking role at this salon from taking out the fucking trash to like now being a trainer. Is that you? Ani, come out. So,
It's Dark Val. Dark Val.
sometimes I have to release her because I'm like, oh, fuck, I do not have the time to hear your sob story right now. We got a bunch of shit to get done today, and talking about your fucking feelings is definitely not one of them. Don't slow me down. Not today, motherfucker.
You don't want to talk to someone about their feelings 3 times a week?
I love Dark Val.
Dark Val is the best. I like Light Val too, but
Because you're like kind of always on edge with Ani, but when Val comes out, you're just like, oh!
we have next week, or I guess when you guys hear this week, we're actually inside of 2 BMS intensive trainings. We have one Tuesday, Wednesday, one Thursday, Friday. One of the girls, actually, I kind of gave them a special treat of something we do inside of the Mastermind program, which are the hot seats with Garrett, and I let them watch one of the whole episodes. And one girl commented, she's like, Ani, I'm just so excited to meet you. I mean, you are so scary and you scare me so much, but I'm so excited. I'm like, that was a compliment. Thank you.
You take it.
You love it.
It took me a second. I'm like, was that? I'm like, nope, compliment. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And
You're like, I'm doing my job.
yeah, someone on Instagram messaged me the same thing later on. She's like, I think you're super scary, but I love the podcast. I'm like, thank you. I'm still flattered. Weird. It's still a compliment, guys. Thank you. But even like jumping back to like growth, I know that like, especially us 3, we're growth like hounds. Like we love it. We want to push forward and more. So Val, like, what is it that you see with yourself? Because we're telling people like, hey, charge what you're worth, provide that amount of work, but what do you do for yourself to get better?
I mean, practice, self-evaluate. I like critique myself, probably to an unhealthy level.
Yeah.
Like I'm so like hard on
good.
myself. So be unhealthy like me, guys. No, but just
Danielle goes, no.
please don't do that. But I just like will get obsessed with
It's an
with my work.
obsession.
And I just like I'll notice like Danielle will be doing something different. And I'm like messaging her. I'm like, what are you doing different with your pictures? I can tell there's something, and like I need to level up. Like what's going on? What are you doing? And then she's like messaging me back, and then I'm like, okay, that's what I'm going to be focusing on. Like, and I'll notice like once I get better at like one thing, like I feel like my B tension is like so good and my stitches are so good. And then now I'm at this point like I just want to get those tiny little notches in my haircut that I want like a little bit better. And that's what I was telling Danielle. Right now I'm super honing in on the haircut to make it have even more movement, the ends more broken up. So I just like get obsessed with like different parts, and I don't get like overwhelmed with like one thing. Like I'm working on one thing, and once I figure that part out, then I'm able to like move on to the next thing. And so I'm constantly like critiquing myself. I'm constantly getting feedback from other people. I'm always asking Danielle what she's doing. I'm asking you. I'm asking Stacy. I love like sharing knowledge and getting like feedback from other people with what they're doing and what's working for them. I'm still taking color classes. Like I'm just like in this.
It's good to know you're super crazy.
Thanks.
But in a good way.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys feel like this, but when you're kind of a detailed person as far as like visually, like I always felt like growing up, and I see it in my mom and I would see it in my grandparents and whatever. I remember they'd always like point out the negative. They'd be like, oh, those shoes don't match, or this isn't this, or you should do this. And I realized that I always felt like I had that same thing where I have like, I don't want to call it a critical eye, but that's how I thought of it growing up, is like I'd be able to look at like a statue and be like, what if this was this, and tweaking this and this. And it was like my eye would kind of go towards what I could fix. Make better. But then I was like, well, maybe it's not, like I have to have like a balance of like, don't get too obsessive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think it's good to, I always thought of it as a negative thing, only to realize later in life, it's a positive thing to be able to look at something, and it's actually a gift. It's a gift to be able to look at something and be like, I want to etch away a little bit more. How could this be better? Because you're seeing, it's almost like you're looking at a piece of art and finding the not flaws, but pieces that you could make better. And like, I don't know if you guys felt like this, but I always thought like growing up that this was not a gift. You know what I mean? It was a curse.
You felt bad.
And I would always like say things. It even transferred over into like relationships in my life where I'd want to come to somebody and think I was helping and give them unsolicited advice. And so that's for me where when I take a gift of having that I don't want to call it a critical eye, but having that kind of like being able to detail oriented or that detail eye. Like I just have to learn where to put that use of that. So hair is such a beautiful thing to look at that and think, how can I better and how can I, whereas like with my husband and my kids, I can't be like, that doesn't work for me. And can you take out the garbage and focus on all the negative? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because I see the flaws. My mind literally works through like everything's a piece of art, and I'm looking to better like tweak everything according to what I think the overall vision should be.
Yeah.
And so I have to take that and put it into something like hone into like my artwork and my hair and all that, but then keep yourself in check in like other areas of your life.
Definitely.
So, but I think that's so cool. I think like if you're an artist out there, that's like definitely like a blessing, not a curse. And I think that like being like, I'm crazy and I get obsessive, like that's awesome. I think that's a good thing.
Well, and I know even Val's like, great, I'm not that bad. But even like with myself,
I know that was a compliment.
I feel better, so I'll take it.
Perfect. But I know for myself, I'm only in the salon on Mondays, but I work beside Val, so I'm always like, what'd you do with that? What's that? What's this? And just the other day we were talking about, I don't even know what formula it was, but I know it's a purple box. Like it was just so funny.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, what was it? She's like, it's this. I'm like, why again? She's like, 'cause this. I'm like, okay. 5 minutes later, I'm like, this was it, right? She's like, yep. And same with pictures. We're always going back and forth with pictures, this and that.
Yeah.
And then even like outside of the salon, I've been to 2 feelings conventions. I went to one when I first came here. I went to another one a few weeks ago. I'm going to do a speaking class coming up soon in the next couple months. I'm going on a meditation retreat in the next couple months. Like it's constant things that make us just better continuously. There's never a place where we're sitting there and we're like, oh, I feel kind of stagnant, because realistically, like there is no stagnant. You're either going forward or you're going backwards. There's never a place where you're just sitting still. And everyone here just values growth so much that it's just constant push and hustle. So
Right.
Danielle, even with you, where do you feel like with your business inside of everything that you're looking at it, like this is how I continue to level up. This is what I continue to do.
I just constantly have to like choose where to like put up the blinders and where to focus. And just constantly for me, like kind of reframe everything and what serves me. Like lately I've just been going into things with like the mindset of like, if this is not serving me, even if it's a thought, how can I flip it to predict the outcome of my day or whatever it is?
Yeah.
Something as simple as that. So like I kind of just go in with trying to have that mindset and knowing that it's weird when your like eyes are opened up and you know what you need to do to get to where you go, and even then you self-sabotage. You know what I mean? Like you do stupid things and you're like, Danielle, you know the magic formula. So why are you playing small today? You know? And then sometimes I'm like, because I want to play fucking small. Leave me alone.
Go away, me.
Right? Go away, me. So it's like, we have to, like, it's like a daily thing for me. Like, I'm just like, okay, well, I know what serves me and what works best. And I even think for Garrett, like, he's such a routined person because he knows that's what serves him. He's like, I have my green smoothie. I have this. I have this. And for me, like, I'm like, I like a routine, but I don't want to be dependent on a routine to be my best self either. I don't want to say I have to get my workout in, or I have to have my green smoothie, or I have to hit this checklist in order to have that. But it is good to have that to kind of help predict your day and go in the direction that you want to go. I don't even know what the question you asked me, but
I like it though. Whatever answer you gave,
that was good.
I dig it, and I'm happy with it. So don't worry about it. That's my favorite thing about Danielle. At one point, she'll look at you and go, What was the question?
Yeah, like I feel like it ended good, and then I'm like, but wait, what was the question?
Did I actually answer it?
Did I answer it?
Did you ever do that with like essay questions at school where they're like, tell me about the growth expansion of this and that, and you're like, well, let me talk to you about my expansion myself.
Yeah.
Like,
Garrett says I'm a master reframer. So like,
yeah.
I don't know if it's just how my brain works, but I reframe shit. I don't know.
I just love it. That's just how I envision you. They ask one question and you're like, great question, but first, let me tell you this.
Let me just take you here first. Let me take you down memory lane.
Let me explain something to you. So then the very last thing I want to talk about in our last like 10, 12 minutes is really that I think a lot of artists, they go through and they see like, oh, I have so many followers on Instagram. Like, ooh, look at how great I'm doing, which that's a whole nother topic in and of itself.
No, that was something I talked about actually on my blog post, is like how people start to, sorry to cut you off,
No, go ahead.
Got a spark, and you know how I lose things quickly, so I got to run with it.
You run with that
So,
spark.
like, I think that in our industry, and I talked about this again on a few podcasts ago, if you haven't caught up, get caught up because they're good. I was saying like how with social media, it's tarnished our industry a little bit, because what happens is people start to view view clients as like you're replaceable instead of worrying about client retention. And so again, it's an ego thing, but we have to like really focus on like sometimes those numbers matter, but sometimes we put too much focus on those and they don't really reflect like where we're at. And I think that's another reason I get triggered by social media, because I'm like, your fucking social media following does not like give you like the credibility and the results. Like,
Definitely.
it just drives me bonkers. So anyway.
No, yeah, and even inside of that. So yeah, totally. I realize a friend of mine, he keeps telling me, he's like, do you realize you have certain like catchphrases you say? I'm like, what?
So yeah.
He says that, and oh, so exciting. So apparently I have things that I say. I didn't realize that. I'm like, cool, and I feel like a freaking cartoon character, but that's all right. But even
I like that you always say, bear in mind.
Yeah.
Do I really?
Yeah.
Oh my, dang it. So bear in mind, so exciting. I don't even know the third one.
So bear in mind, Donnie.
Well, and apparently I do this a lot. Yeah. He's like, you're always waving your arm. I'm like, stop watching me. Why do you so observant? Damn it. But so bear in mind. No, I'm kidding. So, but even with that, another thing that I think people don't really realize is we actually sold out all of our BMS intensives, which those are our smaller classes. We sold those out the first week of February all the way up until September. And really, we could have had a huge ego about it. Did we celebrate? Yeah. Were we like, oh my God, this is getting huge?
Were there tequila shots? Yes, there were.
Yes.
Okay, small celebration.
Yes, we did it right here, and it was awesome. Oh, actually, we did it for tequila shots for the first podcast too. Yeah. We clearly like tequila, but anyway. But even with that, we could have, I feel, easily had an ego and been like, it doesn't matter what we do now. We already sold this shit out. Clearly, it's getting bigger, but we've never had that. We always go back and we look at classes and we say, okay, 2 classes just ended literally 1 week ago. What worked? A, B, C, D. That worked awesome. What worked? Not great at all. That part was garbage. We got to fix that. This stuff was kind of in the middle. We're always going through and adjusting and tweaking even our own education, which is legit. Like this is education that's never been seen in the industry.
We're not looking to be platform artists on a stage to build popularity. We're looking to give our students results. We're looking to inspire them. We're looking to literally change the game and get rid of old habits and patterns and behaviors. And unfortunately, in this game of like social media, I see a lot of stylists who they're like, I'm going to hold classes, and they're doing it for the wrong reasons. They're doing it to be that celebrity, to get up and toot their own horn and be like, everybody wants to be with me. And I'm like, I don't fucking care. Are their bank accounts growing? Are they becoming a better person? Then get the fuck off the stage. And like I don't know. Like I feel like, that's why I love our team. We're so solid. But I just genuinely feel like we're doing what needs to be done, and we're in it for the right reasons. And it's interesting because all of us are kind of a little bit introverted. And we're on stage and we're like, let's focus, let's do this. We're not like, hey! Like, that's not us. You know what I mean? Like, and so I see that and I'm like, excuse me. Excuse me
when I barf in my mouth.
Exactly. And that's why I believe that we're growing at the rate we are, is because people can see that. So, like, thank you guys for being a solid team.
Yeah, the results speak for themselves. Yes. And, like, that is what I love about our education. Someone just went to another, like, and they're big educators, and they had this whole, like, retreat thing, and they went to it. And the funny thing, and they are very, like, showy and, like, earthy and boho and, like, super cute. I'm not knocking them. But, like, someone said something about our podcast, and normally it would because I always like to justify what we're doing. I'm like, no, but we're changing people's lives. Like, don't say something mean about us, you know, because I'm, like, so heartfelt into it. But they said, like, we're, like, so over the top and we're hard to handle. And, like, we are? Yeah. And normally that would make me, like, a little upset. Like, no, but we're changing lives. But I didn't even get, like, triggered by it or anything. And I was like, yeah, we are over the top.
Yeah,
but you know what else is over the top? Our fucking results are over the top.
Yes.
So thank you for noticing that we're over the top.
Thank you for noticing we're changing lives.
And you know what's interesting is we actually had a few artists that were at that retreat, and more than one of them messaged me and they were like, you're not going to believe this. I'm so pissed off I paid money to come here. I'm so upset. The education that I got inside of BMS and BMS Intensive has ruined everything else for me at this point because it's top of the game.
I don't want to like harp on what other people are doing.
No, and I'm not saying they did bad.
Right. But we set the bar so high for ourselves. And like what we're doing, it's just, for me, it's not enough to be the celebrity stylist.
No.
Like I was that person. I was 100% that person that was like, I just want to like have people take pictures and say they came and did MBR, until I realized that my students were not getting results and it was reflecting bad on my brand, and which I knew genuinely worked for myself and for my clients. And so I only speak out of love and experience. It's not like I'm saying I wasn't that person that was trying to be like, oh, you know what I mean? Even though I am an introverted person, there was a point in my career where I was like, this is so fun. And it was a popularity thing until that became unfulfilling for me.
Right.
Because the backlash that I got of people not getting the results that I had was not enough. I couldn't just be this platform artist knowing that the shit that people were experiencing was not up to the level that I wanted to. And so I thought, like, how can we change the game? And I thought, we have to give our students results. Like, we have to. And if we are too much to handle, that's
so be it.
That is more that so be it, because that's what we're going after. We're going after people just getting results in their life. That to me is more fulfilling than being the celebrity stylist.
I feel like, and that's how like Mastermind came about. Like, I remember when we used to just do it in Voxer, and I would be like, the classes would be over and there's like all these messages coming in, and I was like always constantly still like training them when it wasn't even part of the course anymore. They had been out of the class for 3 months and I'm still like answering all their questions. But because I knew that this worked. I knew your extension method and the marketing and the business side of it matched up. If you did it,
if you did the work,
it freaking worked. So like, I didn't want it to the bad rep to be out there. I'm like, no. So I would constantly be like answering questions and like,
we had to take it to a crazy level. We had to take it to where like we require this much work. And I said this in another podcast where I'm like, you can't go graduate from hair school if you skip hours.
Yeah.
You can't. You have to have a certain amount of hours. You have to have a certain amount of book work. You have to have a certain amount of numbers behind the floor. And that's how we treat our business. We treat it as if it was a hair school, and we up the bar on every level because we're offering a certification, not just a simple like, here's a technique. To me, we are creating Natural Beauty Row Hair School with inside BMS. That felt good, right?
Yeah.
Seriously. No, I'm serious. That's what the level in which I want to take it is. Natural Beauty Rose is a hair school specific to color and extensions and the blend and everything like that. It's kind of like how Tony and Guy created their cutting. They cut their color. They niched everything down, and you went to that specific school. Mark my words, MBR will become a school, and those who want to be a big money stylist will attend the Natural Beauty Rose School.
Oh, and I have no doubt of that. Do you know what's funny? My sister-in-law, she's marrying my little brother. She's 21 years old, and she texts me, and she's like, just so you know, this was maybe like a month or so ago. She's like, I'm enrolling in Paul Mitchell. She's like, I love you. I'm obsessed. She's like, and now she's doing some big like mentor project. I have to fill out a whole sheet that I'm now realizing I haven't done, so hopefully it's not due just yet. We're okay. It's fine, Chelsea. I got you. But even then, because she told me, she's like, so can I just be like in hair school and come to BMS? And I'm like, no, like you have to fully graduate. You have to have it. She's like, okay, got it. And that's been like her goal since day one. And she's about to go out onto the floor and start taking clients. Like, she's super excited. But for her, eye is on the prize, and that's coming to BMS. Right. So I told her, I'm like, here's what we're going to do. Because Paul Mitchell's not an easy school. You went there. They're super strict. And she's getting straight A's like across the board. She's doing so well. And I told her, I'm like, here's what we're going to do. You keep producing at that level. You keep showing up. You do that. I will pay for you to come to BMS.
Oh, nice.
I'm like, that's going to be like the profit that you get from doing all this hard work, not just your license, but I'll pay for you to come, because that for her, she's been like, I'm going to BMS. I'm going to do it, because she says, she's like, it's you. She's like, I saw you. I saw what you did. This changed your whole life. She's like, your whole life is because of BMS. I'm like, yeah, it is for sure. So now she sees that 21 years old, she's a baby. She'll graduate, I think right before she turns 22 or 23, however old, I don't even know now, but that's amazing. And that's so young to start and doing something that early, because we've told all our artists, it's not about the money. Yes, the money's great. Making money is cool, but that doesn't fulfill you to the extent that you want. We always want all of our artists to leave and just, it sounds so cheesy, but be happy. Like, have a fulfilled life. Have time with your husbands, your wives, your kids, and not be stuck behind the chair 6 days a week to the one day that you have off, you're doing laundry and napping. Yeah. Like, that's not a life that we want for them.
For me, as a senior stylist, it's so
I don't like the word senior, because I always think senior citizen. And we're too young for that, Danielle. I know we're the old ones in the salon, but damn it.
I've been doing hair forever. I just realized that I'm 35. I didn't just realize I'm 35. I'm 35. And I started doing hair when I was 18. That's fucking 17 years. Like, I hold that badge proud. I am a senior stylist. No, but God damn it, I forgot my train of thought.
I don't know, but now I know we should have gotten it for her birthday. It was a badge that said senior stylist.
We're on it.
Oh my gosh. No, I just think that like, it's crazy. Like, I've had a ton of reps and a ton of experiences, and so, God, it was a good one, and I totally forgot where I was going.
See, you should have made so many jokes.
I know.
It really got off now.
I know.
Here's what's going to happen. You're going to remember what you said.
I know. Keep talking.
3 weeks from now.
No, I'll remember in a couple minutes. Keep talking.
Unfortunately, in a couple minutes, I can guarantee you the podcast will be over. So quick, Danielle, think. Okay, what the hell were we talking about? I don't even know at this point.
You were sharing something. What were you talking about?
About my sister-in-law wanting to go and being so young and wanting to attend BMS because she saw me and that was a game changer, and me saying that it's not just about the money. We want everybody to live.
Okay, so in life, there we go. So in life, I, like, as long as I've been doing hair as a senior stylist, I think that it's interesting that you say that, because it gets to this point where you're like, okay, being the celebrity stylist and the platform artist isn't enough. Okay, making the kind of money I'm making is not enough. Just teaching in general is not enough. What is enough is knowing the impact that you're making on so many people's lives. And that is when you know you're like, we're doing some good shit.
Yeah. I feel like that fuels me to nothing else does.
And I think
like in just the quietest messages that I get, like from the email, in the network, from every random person on Instagram that like says like an encouraging message of like how you've helped them or pushed them to like do something more, take steps out of their comfort zone. All those messages, I'm just like, you see the change that's happening. I see it in Mastermind all the time, like how everyone's lives are changing. And what other education program is not only worried about that you're actually not just learning the extension method, but you're good at it and you're producing like quality clients when they're leaving the chair, that your marketing is on point, that your numbers are where they want to be, but then on top of that, that you're having this balance in life. Like we touch on like everything, and to just, I don't know, it's like amazing. But to see it on our Mastermind students, I'm always like, God, we're doing it. We're doing it. We're changing the world like for the better.
That's why I was like, even just recently, because I was like getting to my stress levels and I was kind of stepping away from things. And now I realize like I need back in. in. Like I love doing hair and I love educating, but really like I need back in, and I need that connection with even my students, because that's fulfilling for me. And so it's just, I even get to this place where I'm like, I almost like don't want the celebrity like status, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, that's cool, and if that will, I believe that will come with all of us as the brand grows. Like we will be that celebrity status, but as that gets bigger, have you guys noticed you almost kind of like want to retreat a little bit more? Like it's like
I feel like that's me from the get-go. Like I don't like being in like the limelight, but I love all the like positive messages that like come from it, and that feeds me. And when I had to step out from BMS for a little bit, when I was doing the stuff with DKW, those spreadsheets weren't feeding my soul at all. I'm like, and Garrett's like, I need you to like nut up over these numbers, and I'm like, I am not nutting up.
Nutting down. No. Nope.
Sometimes we speak to each other like dudes. It's cool.
I think it's because we're around a bunch of dudes all the time. So really, what I want you guys to consider going forward, and after listening to this podcast, is where in your life do you see that you need to level up? Look at your skill set. What are you actually producing? What is leaving your chair? And not just that, but your marketing as well. What do you see inside of your life where maybe you're having a bit of an ego and you're not being realistic about the work that you're producing? So once again, thank you guys for being here. Danielle, final words?
Final words. Back up your magic behind the chair. No. What's the final word? Back up. What was my quote?
Marketing is only as strong as your magic behind the chair.
I don't even know my own quote.
It was a good one, though.
It was a good one.
That was the good one. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.